Well, Heidi ho, my peeps. Today I posit the question, what does one do with an entire case of zucchini? You'll see this case is not full. It's because I've already cooked with some of it. I made a stew that is now partially consumed and partially in the freezer. In addition to that, I've grated up 6 zucchini, which are going to end up in zucchini bread. I'm guessing there's enough to make 4 loaves right there. And I am sweating some vegetables, carrots that I had in the refrigerator, zucchini, of course, and some rice and some garlic. I'm going to sweat those down. Then I am going to add a can of beef and some seasoning, and oh, you can see my Snoop Dogg wine there that I cooked fish in. Anyhow, isn't this a funny, I gotta show you guys, I thought was just hilarious. 19 Crimes, Cali Rosé. Gotta hand it to Snoop Dogg. That guy is quite an entrepreneur. Anyhow, this is going to end up being a vegetable beef soup with rice in quite a large soup pan. And I'll put 2 days worth in the refrigerator and the rest of it's going to be frozen. It's about time to add some liquid. First I added a little bit of chicken bouillon, some black pepper, a few shakes of thyme, some rosemary, and some basil. I've also got 2 bay leaves in there. These bay leaves, incidentally, were wild crafted from, dry off, were wild crafted from the hills above where I live. We have quite a grove of California bay laurel, and every year I wildcraft some and end up using most of it. If I don't use it in cooking, I use it in a hair infusion tea that I also make with fresh rosemary and fresh lavender. I spray that on my scalp and my hair in the summertime, and it makes it oh so refreshed. Those vegetables have sweated enough. Now I'm going to drop in a can of, let me get the label turned around, government beef. So in goes the government beef. Well, maybe not. Maybe I'm going to have to dig it out of there. The government beef is now in the soup. You will notice that I pulled off most of the fat, all the easily scraped off fat. That's going to be added to some hot water and put on the cat food for tonight's cat food dinner. Now I'm just going to add a few quarts of water and let this thing double toil and treble for a couple hours. Alrighty, so I believe this is going to turn into a really nice soup. Much of which I'm going to share with the 2 homeless guys that live up in our area. We only have 2 homeless guys. Isn't that interesting? Of course, it's a toil, quite a bit of toil to get up here on foot, and bless their hearts, they each have a dog, and they're, you know, just kind of slip through the cracks, people. But the little village always comes together to make sure they have food and dog food and water. So I walk back and forth from the sink with my best mom ever cup. Thank you, Sarah. Filling this thing up. Oh, my country for an over-the-stove pot filler. Well, maybe not. No, I don't think so. My country, my country means more to me right now than just about anything. So I'm going to vote to preserve it this year. The oven is preheated, and to this luscious cinnamony batter, I've added 2 cups of grated zucchini, a cup of walnuts pieces. They're not really chopped up, but I wanted them to be chunky, and a cup of dried cherries. Yum. So let's see how this turns out. Okay, the soup is on the stove. I've got 2 loaves of zucchini bread in the oven, but let me show you what happens when the lady of the house spends all of her time outside. Da 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 dee. Oh my goodness, which is a line I stole from another YouTuber who I adore, and I'm going to link her channel, mostly cooking. She's wonderful, and I'm sure this will horrify her if she ever sees the disarray that I am able to tolerate. And bam! Okay, it is much, much cleaner in here. Took me all day, believe it or not, and I wouldn't call it clean particularly. Cleaner is the operative word, but it is much cleaner and heading toward being organized and picked up enough that I can actually get in and do the baseboards with my toothbrush kind of thing. Alrighty, just wanted to share that with you. Oh my gosh, I love this harsh lighting. Oh man, you can see everything. So I'm going to end this short little video by sharing a story with you and a slideshow. So when I went to San Diego, it was to visit my friend Rachel and her husband Steve. Rachel and I have known one another since we were 15 years old, 14 years old, and we went to high school together. Her parents were teachers. My parents were teachers. She was an English teacher, and Stephen was a journalist. So lots of teachers, writers, book lovers in our little group. And Rachel and I have shared a deep and abiding love of books ever since we were little. So in her retirement, she has ended up doing a number of things, including volunteering at a library bookstore where, you know, they sell old copies of stuff that they no longer have on the shelves for one reason or another. And it's all real cheap, like $1, $2. And then Rachel has also been building their vintage book section. And that's turning out to be a real moneymaker for the bookstore. I ended up buying a couple of books from their vintage bookstore. Well, actually, I bought a set of 5 magazine gazettes. So they're bound copies of magazines from the 1800s. Really interesting. I don't have them here, or I would show you. I bought them and after I came home, and she's got them for me, so I will pick them up the next time I visit. But in addition to that, I bought a selection of books for my grandson, Carson. Now, Carson, of course, is still a baby, 6 months old, and I don't get to see him very frequently. However, in my grandmother fantasy, in my Mamu fantasy, I will be able to read to him starting very soon, and, you know, going throughout until he turns 6 and he thinks having Mamu read to him is uncool. So I'm really looking forward to that. And to that end, I picked up some books that tickled my funny bone, the children's books that I hope to read to him. And in addition, I bought him a book. It's a collection of the writings of John Muir, including photography and drawings and all sorts of stuff. Now, we have along the backbone of California, which is along the Pacific Crest Trail of California, there's a section about 400 miles long called the John Muir Trail. Now, Nick's older brother walked that trail in 1996 along with my brother, and Nick went to college at Cal Poly Humboldt, which is you know, part of that sort of California mountain history. It's the John Muir is one of the people that is, you know, dear to both my kids' hearts. Anyway, I found this wonderful book that I told my son that he can share with Carson when he's older, and in the meantime, I hope to read to him from this collection of books. So I'm going to end this video with this little slideshow and say bye-bye to everybody, and I will see you next time.